I'm going to talk about a real-world asset tokenization crypto. Real-world asset tokenization, in my opinion, and I think the opinion of many, if you look at a lot of these articles online, is that it's just going to grow and continue to grow. And there are trillions of dollars of assets that can greatly benefit from being tokenized. Before we get into that, I'm Brian. I'm a big dumb animal. Don't do what I do. That's my disclaimer. Informational purposes only. If you don't mind, hit the like button. Helps me out. And hey, down in the description, or I should say down in the comments, if you would, put in what real-world asset tokenization coins you may like or already have or think about buying, because there's so many of them. I also talk about my crypto school, a community you can join. It's a paid community. I have a link down below to 2 courses free so you can see how I teach. A lot of how-to and a lot of discussions on crypto. So we're going to discuss Plume, P-L-U-M-E. That's also the name as well as the ticker. This is CoinMarketCap. Looking at Plume in the middle, you can see where it's available, not on the larger ones like Coinbase and BitUnix, which to me, that's sort of a downside. I like it to be on the most accessible exchanges. It's not yet, doesn't mean it won't be, but it's on 7 pages of 10, 70 different exchanges, and some of these doing 12, 10, 4 million a day. So it is accessible. You can grab it if you want it. Let's talk about the fact that it's in RWA. So here's the category on CoinMarketCap for RWA. I've mentioned this before. As you scroll down, for example, the top 4 here, yes, they're related to RWA and you can use them for real-world asset tokenization, but they're not specific to only RWA. Ondo, I would say, is only RWA. Some of these are, some of these aren't. You'd have to go all the way down here, Plume. Now it's number 211 of all crypto. I don't know where it is on this particular list. Maybe it's 20 or 25. So it's pretty far down there. As you can see, there's many RWA ones. Great space to be in. Now let's talk about what I like about it, some pros, some cons, what I really like about it, and then the pricing. If you go to their website, what is it in general? Like if you had to explain, say, Ondo, you would say, well, they're tokenizing treasuries. Really, that's the short explanation for what they do. If you had to say about Plume, they're creating, and I'm doing this because it's an infrastructure. I think of them as the rails on which the trains can run. And they're an infrastructure for RWA. They call it RWA finance, commodities, financial products, real estate, tokenization of those things. They discuss addresses on there, transactions, all these different things. But at the moment, they're just in testnet phase. I'm not too excited about that. Now, they talk about their ecosystem. So they have integrated already 180 different, protocols like Ondo and others. That's a good thing. Here is the way they explain their architecture. 3 basic things. Their tokenization engine. All right, first thing you got to do is you got to tokenize that thing, that financial product, that real estate, whatever it is. And they call it ARC to help that happen, specifically dealing with regulatory issues. That's step 1. Step 2, and this is why I said I'll tell you why I really love it. This is why I really love it. Because just tokenizing things, while that's great, what are you going to do once these things are tokenized? Well, you're going to want to it's not just, I want to sell someone something, so I'm going to use it as a transactional method. I think it's going to be used a lot in decentralized finance, because you can use things like this as collateral. Obviously, your home is collateral. Your home is essentially collateral, if you will, for your mortgage if you've got it. Or if you go out and refinance something, right? If you don't pay that back, well, they're going to go after your home. Your title for your car is collateral for your car loan. And even after you've paid off a car loan, you can still get a loan using your car. And at the moment, all of these borrow-lend protocols, or at least most of them, they're over-collateralized. You have to put up more assets than you're taking out as a loan. And you're using things like assets, another crypto, whereas eventually we're going to be using things such as real estate or securities that are tokenized or cars, whatever it may be. So this is what I really like. It's their smart wallet passport, which they say is coming soon. So not done yet. But that's going to allow you to manage your digital assets, your yield-bearing instruments, contract-based interactions, all within things such as DeFi. So to me, that's huge. And then they talk about the data highway and the cross-chain ability to move it around. That is why I love it. Now, if you go to their X account, they have 1 million followers. That's substantial, considering a lot of people haven't really heard of them. As you scroll down, you can go through all the different things that partnerships they've worked with. This one's interesting. Only one I'm going to point out. Did a deal with Invesco, which has $6.3 billion in senior loans and is part of their yield protocol. And they work with Nest Credit, which was built, here it is, Nest Credit, which was powered by the Plume network. And if we go to it, what is it? Well, really simple explanation, earn yield from real world assets. You can swap stable coins for Nest issued tokens. So you can obtain better yield opportunities for your essentially cash than just going to a bank. You're able to, what they always call it, institutional grade assets that will provide a higher yield. So they give you this little diagram as to how it works. But if you click in, connect your wallet, and you can go after and use some of these different, what they call their Nest vaults, to obtain better yields. 11.5%. This has got Carlyle in there. This one's 13%. Institutional ETFs on chain, BlackRock, Blackstone, 15%. DeFi with PYUSD. I guess that's PayPal, Nest Vault. There's different things you can do here, but to give you an idea, that is something, Nest, that is built on the architecture of Plume. Now let's move on to a recent event here where a private equity firm invested into Plume, and this was April 8th, which leads me to believe the deal was probably done in March or early April. Doesn't say how much they put in, doesn't say what they got. However, as you're probably familiar, or you may not be, when you go out to try to receive additional investment from someone, well, you have to explain what you're doing and what you've done to get to where you are. In other words, there's a lot of due diligence. So to me, that's a big deal because an investment firm looked at it and said, all right, they have done great things and they're going to do great things. So we're willing to invest. They're doing the due diligence for us. So what I would call sort of a late stage investment, not in terms of the stage of their company, because they haven't gotten to their main net yet. They're still in their test net. But in terms of where the market is, and we're hoping the market's going to take off, they're putting it at a time like right before that's going to happen. Because one of the negatives in my mind is that they are in a test net and they're not on some of the larger exchanges. Not being on some of the larger exchanges, not that bad, but still being in a test net when we potentially are going into a bull run, not that happy about. But when I see the investors jump on board, I'm thinking to myself, maybe that money is to get them across the finish line as fast as possible. Because for the investors to make the most, I'm pretty sure they're going to want this fully operational during a bull run. I could be completely wrong. Who knows? The other thing is, if we look at the tokenomics, it's a $400 million market cap. It's a fully diluted of $2 billion. They only have 20% out. Total supply is 10 billion. That could mean that a lot could come out during this bull run, which could affect it a little bit. Fully diluted value is what really matters, but still the float matters. I would expect or want a much larger float of like 80% or so. Float meaning how many of these coins are out available. However, looking into the tokenomics, it is 59% to the community and the foundation and about 40% what they say early backers, core contributors. I'm hoping guessing this is all employees for that 20%, some investors for the 21%. Fine. So 60% there, 40% there. But what matters is distribution schedule or token release schedule. These lines down here, this green one. So this is January 26 right here. So this is 25. It's not the greatest graph, but to give you an idea, airdrop, I guess, has happened and it's pretty flat. Some validators a little more over time. Community and ecosystem, an airdrop has been the majority of everything till it looks like maybe mid 2025. And then it starts going to the foundation, some early backers, some core contributors. As we read on, it says that it's over a 3-year period of time for the majority of the investment, for the investors to get their tokens. And you can see if this was January of 26, only a small portion has come out for early backers and core contributors before January 26, meaning in 25. And then you can see it grows and grows and grows. The majority of it out looks like the majority is out by 2028. So 26, 27, that's when most of it will come out for the backers and the core contributors. That's good. It doesn't look like if we do have a bull run in this particular market, and that happens before the end of 2025, then potentially most of theirs isn't going to come out yet. So that's not terrible. It doesn't look like a huge cliff. In other words, where a bunch of tokens are just dumped. Let's look at the price itself. And it is not interesting at all. It's not interesting at all because it's just pretty much sideways. Low of around 12 cents, maybe 11. This is, I guess, when it first came out. And then it's up to about 20 cents now. So good news and bad news. I guess bad news, so to speak, is that we don't have any past performance information. We don't have last November, December. We don't have last summer to see what it did as others did. But it's at 20 cents and it hasn't run yet. Whereas, you know, some of the cryptos already started to move. What have I done? Full transparency, I own some. But I always talk about the fact that I have different layers. Now, it is a $2 billion market cap, fully diluted. I'm sorry, 400 million market cap, 2 billion fully diluted. It's in almost the top 200, number 211. It's a fairly large one. I guess you could call it a middle, but it's in a highly competitive space and it's pretty far down on the list. I don't know that their marketing is that wonderful, although you start to hear more about them. So I've put them in. They are in my portfolio in RWA, but one of my smaller tiers of investment. I haven't put as much into this as I've put into something like an Ondo. Hope that helps. This is one you might want to take a look at. It's got some pros. It's got some cons. Pretty sure this one's what you would just call a crapshoot. Thanks for watching. Hope we can all make generational wealth together with crypto. Have a great day.